Greetings, I'm Violet, otherwise known as CompleteIndie, and welcome. So, I've been making YouTube videos for a few years now, and I've recently eclipsed 100 videos, and on top of that, I very recently cleared 4,000 subscribers, and in all that time I'd like to think I've become decent at making videos, so I figured I could make a video about how I make videos. This video is going to be equal parts behind the scenes, equal part tutorial video, so whether you're interested in my own personal workflow, curious on how you can learn to make your own videos, or simply just like hearing me talk for once, hopefully this admittedly break from the norm sort of video is appealing to you nonetheless. And that it's a fun 4,000 subscriber special and an informative breakdown. Now, as with any digital hobby, I would say the starting point is software. I've used a lot of different video editing software over the year based on my finances and resources I have at any given time. Nowadays, I tend to use a laptop that is powerful enough to run Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve. It's not completely free, but I use the free version and experience next to no issues. While it's got a bit of a slightly steep learning curve, you don't need all the studio-grade features and tools to make a good video. Later I'll actually explain how to use Resolve a little bit, but it's a big application, so maybe start downloading it now. For the audio itself, I personally favor Audacity. It's free, open source, and I've been using it for literal years at this point since the channel's inception. I'll also show how to use this later in the video. And finally, GIMP, a graphic editor, mostly is just for the thumbnails. Like with Resolve and Audacity, I'll get to it later. As far as hardware, in my personal opinion, you only need two things beyond your computer. A set of headphones and a microphone. It doesn't even need to be great, really. For years I got by on a cheap $20 mic headset I bought from the source. And while it wasn't great, it was passable. Nowadays, I favor my Blue Yeti microphone, which has higher quality and a higher learning curve, but if you're just starting out, a cheap headset is enough, in my personal opinion. If you're interested in splurging for a more expensive microphone, do your research, figure out how you'd be using it and what suits you best. Ultimately, though, the most important thing is not to use your phone microphone. If you are watching this video as a tutorial for video editing, I can pretty confidently say your phone almost isn't going to be passable quality. Even just $20 would go a long way. Once you've got those free applications in your microphone, it's technically showtime. I used to write my documents in Google Docs, but I've recently switched over to LibreOffice, but ultimately anywhere you can write text, even just basic pre-installed notepad or physical pen and paper, will suffice. But you'll want to write down whatever you plan to be saying. If that's to music, my biggest piece of advice are as follows. 1. Try to stay on the beat. It maybe goes without saying, but less so is how easy it can be to fall out of sync. Don't be afraid to re-record lines over and over to get it to fit, and do your best to either stick to a beat or a melody or some other time frame. This is why Deltarune's Third Sanctuary is so hard to sing, because time signatures shouldn't have math. My personal rule of thumb is sing the lines out loud as you're writing them. You read faster in your head than you speak, typically, and so you can think you have more space in any given line than you actually do. 2. Make sure you rhyme. It doesn't have to be every time, and sometimes breaking a rhyme is fun, but if your song rhymes, it goes a long way to both the memorability and singability, and just feels more right. I like doing weird rhyme schemes, like from A Different Snowgrave. There's this.
Princess chick gone off the script, I bet you're thrilled and it's so sick.
Now, if I grab this digital highlighter, you can tell there's 4 rhymes in this bar, but it's sort of weighted towards the front half. I like playing with the rhyme schemes a bit, meddling. If you're interested, maybe color code your rhymes, especially if it's in a digital application where you can easily just adjust it. It'll help accent the complexity of the lines you're writing and figure out where everything's going together. Of course, don't go too far into complex rhyme schemes unless you can make sure it stays sensible. A big personal inspiration of mine is the Stupendium in how I write my songs both tonally but also rhythmically. Using this passage from their recent as-of-writing song, Merry Go Round.
No recollection of genuine me, I don't eat, I don't sleep, it's just ceaseless adventure, repeat and I need a reprieve. Would you please let me leave, but I don't even know what I'd be if I leave with the say, take it easy and breathe to release the unease, but I'm clearly abandoned and needlessly random scenes where it seems I'm the featured attraction. Weeks spent pleading and screaming in tandem, clearly you see that the teeth of the madman, each of them speaking to me of abstraction, but they would explain what it means when I ask you.
See the rhyme schemes? It's complex but sensible, and it creates this almost rap god meets poetry meets ordinary singing vibe that I think has channeled itself a lot into my writing. Meanwhile, if you're writing more long-form content like this very video, focus on how it's going to look once it's adapted to the screen. One of the oldest videos on the channel, a budget deck built around Kefis the Hidden Hand, I hadn't yet decided how it was going to look, and it created this very wedged-together, kind of messy, sloppy-looking array of cards because I read them without giving time to pause. In future videos, I limited myself to naming 3 or fewer cards at a time. In this very video, I knew before I ever recorded a scrap of audio that it was going to harken back to wavedash.ppt from Celeste, which is what you can see on screen right now. I knew about the visual effect you saw for the rhyme schemes. I'm stealing it from my Doctor Who video and the way I learned to keyframe stuff, and then I'm just going to tweak it with highlighter in mine. For this very moment, I know that I'm showing you that segment again, but slowed down, with and without the effect layer, and so on. Ultimately, though, I won't tell you how to write. Love with your heart, use your head for everything else, and let your style flow. You have a writing style just as everyone has an accent. You just might not have practiced it much. If your style is super similar to someone else, that's super fine. If it's different and strange and never before seen, that's also super fine. I do recommend to try and write the things you personally want. They will always have more passion and soul than the things you make just to shut people up. But ultimately, write however you want. But what about the algorithm, I hear some of you asking, and yeah, that's a good point. Here on YouTube, the creator economy of views is tight and kinda unforgiving. Maybe you really want to do that video essay on the history of LEGO Island's development, or about the weird taxonomies of mill and discard in Magic the Gathering, analog horror's history, and more. And you fear that it's not gonna do as well. I get it. I do. And some people might just say, oh, steer with your heart, it'll do well. And those people are foolishly optimistic. I'm not a pessimist. I believe it can do well. And even if it doesn't, it'll be your creation. Why do you think I make the video game songs with lyrics? There's something I enjoy, yeah. Even if I'd rather be making more elaborate, full-scale stuff more often. But those smaller videos are fun and enjoyable, and they pave the way to making the video essays at all. I have some in the works that I hope will be ready soon. It's the impetus of any writer to pour themselves into their work, and that means every single thing you create has a piece of you. A replenishing piece. It's not like you're sacrificing anything. But it's your creation nonetheless. So find something you do like, even if it's not the perfect dream come true, and use that to pave the dream. Undertale was the tech demo for Deltarune, after all. And for anyone struggling with burnout, it's okay to take a break. I'm a writer in my free time, the little of it I have. I have some Owl House fanfictions uploaded to Archive of Our Own as we speak. And I haven't updated any of my fics since, like, November. Do you know who's mad at me? No one. Because you're not obligated to put out work. Your fans will love it when you do, yeah, but if you need to take a break, that's okay. That's allowed. Though, if you have a regular and established presence like I do, maybe let them know or you're gonna get a lot of, oh, where's the weekly upload comments? So, maybe sometimes just say you're going on break. But people won't be mad. And sorry for the sidetrack. Once you got your thing written, now it's time to record it. Yep. 1,430 or so words into this, and we are finally, let me check my notes here, making something. We're making great pace. To be honest, this part isn't too bad. Open up Audacity with your microphone plugged in, and go to these settings here. You'll want to select the device output as your headphones, and the input device as your microphone. The headphones are so when you're listening and recording to audio already in Audacity, like your instrumental, your microphone doesn't pick it up. As a small thing I do as a laptop user, I unplug my computer from its charging cable whenever I'm recording. If you want to know why, this video by Tom Scott was pretty decent explaining the mains hum, and that's my best guess for why the audio sounds clearer. Get used to that phrase. Hit the giant red button with a circle, the record button, or as I tend to, there's like a shortcut with Shift+R that'll automatically start recording in a new track. And then go ahead and sing along, or speak, or do whatever it is you're doing. The play, stop, and pause buttons do as they imply, and you can hit stop at any time to stop the recording. You can record as much as you like on as many tracks as you like, or at least that your computer can handle. And if you want to load in something that already exists, under the file dropdown, there's import and import audio, or this shortcut that I never actually use, and you can import most audio files into Audacity this way, such as your instrumental. Once you have everything recorded, we get to arguably the scariest part of the video, mixing. It's not scary for you. It's scary for me. Because, okay, a lot of you asked, oh, how do you mix your videos? And I'm going to be brutally, painfully honest with you all. I don't know what I'm doing. No matter how much I watch and read, no matter how many times envelopes are explained to me, I flat out have zero clue how to mix audio. Oh, but Violet, don't you mix your videos yourself? Yep. And I'm winging it. Ultimately, this is just about a decade of throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what works and what doesn't, and sometimes it shows. Nowadays, whenever I'm done recording, I usually select all my audio tracks and apply a little macro I added to Audacity. Macro, in very simple terms, is just a list of effects you can apply. A basic macro might be step 1, speed up the video, and step 2, lower the video's pitch to make a video that is faster without getting that weird Nightcore-esque audio effect that comes with speeding sound up. Here, it's a bit more convoluted, but I effectively just applied the same effect to every single audio layer, and while your numbers might be different, I think microphones can play a part in it. The basic steps are this. Step 1, normalize. This will somewhat flatten all the audio you've selected to an agreed upon point. I remove DC offset, whatever that is, and normalize peak amplitude to -2 decibels. You might change what your number is here, I don't know, but whatever you pick, remember it. The compressor is the second step. This reduces the overall range of the video, making everything sound more uniform. The numbers are somewhat arbitrary, and I can't tell you what basically any of this means, so just try copying these numbers, and if that doesn't work, tweak them as you see fit. The limiter is step 3. This will simply limit the video so it can't get too loud in any given spot. Once again, consider copying these settings and tweaking them if need be. And finally, step 4 is normalize again, with the exact same decibels you did earlier. This is literally, honestly, how I mix every single one of my videos. From there, it's a matter of dragging the clips around to sync everything up, or maybe messing around with other effects as the occasion calls for. I like using the vocal tail reverb preset at the very end of a video. It gives a nice echo that makes it feel a bit more final, but I think I got that from Man on the Internet. I also like cranking down this little knob, the gain, to about -9 or -10 if it's with lyrics videos. For the more essay type videos like this one, I lower it even more to like -20. But ultimately that's to taste. Once you're done mixing, which frankly, I've ruined as an art, you can go to the file dropdown and export audio. I choose to export my audio in the WAV format, but if I'm being honest, most viewers don't and won't care if they can even tell when you export .mp3, which takes up less file size. I'm just a snob. But then, ta-da! You've unlocked the illustrious, ever-elusive okay, where's the Zelda music? Better. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da! An audio file. This bad boy right here, which we are smartly going to name our audio.mp3, is going to be the crux of our video. For the next magic trick, we'll want to launch DaVinci Resolve, which, considering it's a pretty big file and it's slow to install, might have just finished happening. Opening Resolve, you'll be granted with a relatively small screen bearing the words, New Project. You'll want to click this and name your videos such as, yeah, that works, you weirdo. Once Resolve is open, and, wow, that's a lot of junk. What's this? What's that? Whose mic? Where is anything? Take a step back. This is Resolve's interface. At the bottom, there's a couple of modes. Media, Edit, Cut, Fusion, Color, Fairlight, and Deliver. Resolve is grouped up into these 7 categories, and it's intended as a way to curb the barrier to entry. This is relatively the order you'll want to edit in. In the Media tab, this is where you'll import files from your computer. So you can grab your audio file and maybe any footage you think you'll be using. If you don't have any, maybe record with a software like OBS, Open Broadcasting Software, or downloading footage that you'll want to have available. Good folder management is your friend if you don't want to have to scour your desktop over and over in your hunt for files. But all that matters is you put them into Resolve. You might be greeted with this pop-up. Unless you know what you're doing, click Don't Change. If you select change, this will alter the video's frame rate and resolution to the clip that prompted it. If you are personally curious, I have my end slate in every single video, and this is not for brand unity. This is because I can import the end slate first, separate from everything else, and then by selecting change, it puts the video in the frame rate and resolution of my end slate. Since that's the same on every single video, that means every single video I make is the same frame rate and resolution. It's a clever time saver that works if you're me. That is why all of my videos are 19 by 20, This is why all of my videos are 1920 by 1080 at 50 frames a second, and why I don't forget it more often. Now, against all regular teaching, I wouldn't hassle with the Media tab or even really the Edit tab. You can import project files from any of these tabs, and the real best friend is going to be the Cut section. This is where I do most of my work. For a bit, Resolve gets easy. You can drag and drop your video files into this area known as the timeline, and you can cut the clips up using the Control-B shortcut. The way I remember this shortcut when I was first getting used to it was B, break the clip up. Nowadays it's habit, but that's how it started for a bit. Sometimes video clips will be linked together, which means moving a video clip will move the attached audio clip. If you don't want this to happen on your video, you can right-click and unlink a clip from its audio by clicking here. Resolve is sorta smart and good at adding new tracks when you try to add footage above another track, so it's by and large drag and drop. Some features like text is stored within the Effects tab. Within the toolbox you'll find a section called Titles, and within Titles there's an effect called Text Plus, which is my go-to effect. You can also click on this star to favorite or unfavorite an effect, which will put it in your favorite tab down here. Favorites are carried over between all your projects too, so if you use something with a lot of regularity, you can favorite it to find it easier. The font I personally use for my videos is Determination Mono Web if it's an Undertale video, and I use Renegare, probably best known from the hit platformer game Celeste, for most of my own personal branding, like the title cards. In essence, a lot of editing is trial and error, tweaking settings until it looks right. But I will say, your best friend is drop shadow on text and vignettes. You always want your text to be legible, and so transitions can be nice when moving between scenes. Cross dissolve is my go-to transition, but sometimes I shake it up when I'm bored, and frankly I should probably shake it up more than I do. Once you have everything placed on your timeline, if you want to apply extra special effects, you just right-click the clip, and select Open in Fusion page. It looks daunting, I know, but it's not really that bad. Media in 1 is just a fancy way of saying things you want to put effects on, and Media out 1 is a fancy way of saying what it looks like after all the effects are added. You'll notice the arrow connect in this, kind of like a flowchart. This flowchart is the basis of what's called node-based editing. Effectively, the video, the end result, and all the special effects are little boxes called nodes, and you move from Media in 1 down the arrows until you eventually reach Media out 1. If you press space and shift, you'll open a little search with all of Resolve's fancy effects. There's a lot, but you don't need to scroll, you can also just type it in here, and let's add, I don't know, light rays. It'll be added in this box. If it doesn't automatically add itself to the flowchart, you can drag the arrows around to connect it. And then, as long as there's a direct path from Media in 1 all the way to Media out, anything cut along the path will be added to your clip. Every effect has loads of options, and to actually explain them all would be infinitely long. Instead, I'll just say tinker, experiment. Very rarely do I actually know what the effect is until I started messing with it, and if I ever goof too badly, I can use Ctrl-Z to undo. I could click this reset button, and if I change my mind and don't want the effect at all, I could just delete it. Color and Fairlight are both super helpful, but they aren't part of my own personal workflow, and if you've been doing things the way I have been, it might be redundant for you. Color allows us to do all of our color stuff, but you can already do this in the Fusion tab with the Color Corrector plugin. And we can do all of the audio work in Audacity. If you want to add, say, a background track in your video after exporting it, you can easily go to the side menu and lower the volume here. Do this to taste, try not to drown out your audio, just like when you made the audio file. Once you've done all of that, congratulations, and you can click the Deliver tab. Here, you can pick where to save your file and what you want to call it. And while sure, you could use all the complicated settings to prepare your video, I usually just click this YouTube button and call it a day. All you really need to do after that, and you don't need to, I just personally do, is scroll down and select Normalize Audio, then Optimize to Standard. Click Add to the Render Queue, which should have been empty initially if it wasn't, just X anything that was there before. And ta-da! There's your video. You can now press Render All, and your video will begin to export. It tends to go a bit quicker if you aren't doing anything else with your computer, so now is usually when I go make dinner, maybe go for a walk, some other obligation or interest, and once the video is exported, all that's left is uploading it. While uploading a video isn't too hard technically, the things that people struggle with are thumbnails, descriptions, and tags. Even after all this time, I don't really know what I'm doing with the description, but for the tags, you'll want to cover most of your redundant and related searches. While this is not what tags are, you can simplify it if you want and think of it as the related topics section. Put anything and everything you can think of in there. For the thumbnail, just make something bold that stands out. Keep in mind how it'll appear at different sizes. I use a tool by the wonderful people at Nebula, please for the love of God let me create on your platform, called Thumbs Up, linked in the description. Just make thumbnails that look bold and unique. Make sure they remain clearly visible at small sizes. Here's an example of a good and a bad thumbnail, for example. And maybe avoid the bottom right corner. This is where your video length goes. You don't want it covering anything important. And ultimately, that's it, I think. Hopefully I've just taught you how both I personally edit YouTube videos and how you yourself at home are able to do the same thing. This was a bit of an experimental video, being done as something of a 4K subscriber special and a bit of a break from my usual type of thing, but I wanted to do this to celebrate, especially since Versus Azrael is right around the corner. I hope you all enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you then. I've got lots of exciting things planned in the coming months, like the Halloween Spectacular I've been planning, but ultimately, I'll see you all at 5,000 subscribers with who knows what. I haven't decided yet. And I'll see you all then. Ciao!